Got some really good news in today's video.
Very exciting news. We're releasing a new app called Grain.
It's called Grain, and it's a color grading app. It's amazing for your iPad or your phone. Dance montage.
Cue the dance montage.
Give me some of that sugar, that'll make it sweet. Give me some of that good old-fashioned stuff, knock me on my feet. You know I love it when you
We out here.
You guys look good.
Just in the nines for you.
Yeah.
You're the only person I know who has a 7-Eleven app.
Comment in the video if you have a 7-Eleven app. So obviously we are super excited for Grain, and
Very
we just
excited.
wanted to tell you straight up, like, what is Grain?
Basically, Grain is a very powerful color grading tool. You can actually build LUTs, lookup tables that is. You can bring grain assets, you can make frames, you can do just about anything that you want.
It's like unlimited creativity if you're a creative, a filmmaker, just someone who likes to fiddle around. Sometimes color grading can feel intimidating.
Yeah, very daunting.
And I think we've made a very good, simple version of an app that is extremely powerful, yet simple. So
big shout out to our app team. They spent countless months developing this, so they did a really great job, and we're very happy to show you all.
what up, crew?
Let's go, Palm Springs, Coachella 2021!
This lighting is actually pretty incredible, so thanks.
Starbucks.
So we are back down here in the desert. Super exciting because we are actually meeting up today with professional colorist Morgana McKenzie. She's on her way down right now, and we are gonna shoot a spec music video. Hence the alien, hence desert vibes.
I'm becoming a diva now. I am the drama today.
Okay. All right.
And then use Grain to color grade, create some different moods. This is cool. This is, I feel like, is the future of like color grading in a sense.
Yeah.
All right, so based on Morgana's reference images that she gave us, we're actually here at the thrift store to find all of our outfits.
Say what's up.
Hey.
What are we looking for? What are we looking for?
Otherworldly, extraterrestrial, eccentric.
I'm a cowboy.
Eccentric extraterrestrial essentials.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. Can we get that like in text, like right there?
Yeah.
What did you say?
Otherworldly extraterrestrial essentials. Give me a wave, y'all.
I just don't think.
All right, y'all, we have made it out to the middle of freaking nowhere. We're gonna shoot some awesome footage, and we have the legend herself has finally arrived. Morgana! Do you live here?
Absolutely not, as you can tell by the amount of sunscreen that I'm applying.
Tell us what you do. Tell us why you're here, really.
We are here to shoot a music video and color it using the Grain app. And we are out in Bombay Beach today. We're gonna shoot some really cool stuff with some cool costumes.
Oh,
It's gonna be
yeah.
fun.
And yeah, I caught her literally mid putting on sunscreen, so
It's a mood.
great intro,
It's
everybody.
A mood.
Smash like for Morgana being here.
So right now we're actually going to get dressed. Morgana's going to direct us. She's going to be filming it as well on the phone. This is going to be really fun. My calves are burning right now, but we're good. We're good. This is hard work. Shout out to all the models out there. I don't know how y'all do it.
It's bonkers, I love it. It's so good. I'm gonna wash that back.
All right, good morning, everybody. Day 2. We are setting up here in the Airbnb, our little studio scene for the main event, which is gonna show you how powerful the Grain app is. We're gonna be grading on the iPad, on the phone. Morgana's gonna come in after she gets her coffee, and we're gonna go to town and enjoy the app.
So I'm super excited to be here playing around with Grain with the footage that we shot yesterday. I have been coloring for the last 5 years, but honestly, really only confidently for the last year or two. And that kind of just comes from a long journey of trying to understand color and color workflows. You know, a lot of color programs can feel very unapproachable, intimidating. There's just simply a lot of stuff to look at. But apps like Grain are very approachable, and they're meant to be a collaboration tool to encourage people, both cinematographers and colorists and creators alike, to collaborate and communicate together to better understand how to color, because it can be a really fun process if you demystify it a little bit. So that's what we're gonna do today. So starting off, we have an awesome clip of Josh and Natalie in this boat. There's a lot of color variants here that we can play with. I have a look that I've made here called American Honey, which I used from a reference still yesterday. And we're gonna go ahead and edit that together. So I'm entering the Grain app, and I'm just gonna land on a frame that I like. We're gonna work with this from here. So typically the way I start with a look like this is I always start with light values. Light values are ultimately going to set the tone for your colors. If you approach any color adjustments like saturation or any hard temperature pushes before adjusting your light values, those colors are always going to change. And you're going to find yourself in this cycle of going back and forth between light adjustments and color adjustments. And that's very confusing. So I always encourage you to just start with the light values and set your contrast levels. I'm going to go ahead and reset a few things here. Typically, I like to start as subtle as possible. Keep in mind that the way that you shot your footage is a good thing. Sometimes you don't really want to alter it too much. You want to build off of the existing gems that are already there. So one of the things that I really want to do is I want to create like sort of like a vintage subtle feel. So I'm going to lift the shadows with the sliders here. The sliders are a nice, helpful, subtle adjustment that aren't too intrusive on the footage. And as you're playing with these things, feel free to nudge them around quite aggressively just so you can see what kind of adjustment they're making. So I'm going to pull back and forth here on the shadows to sort of see what it's adjusting. I can see it's sort of lifting the shadows on Josh's face and on the boat, and I like that. So I'm going to find a nice sweet spot here that I want it to live in. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing with the highlights. And I kind of decide that a simple nudge with the highlights is really all I need. Now, at this point, I'm pretty tempted to go into the vibrance and saturation and start setting those colors. But again, remind yourself that you want to set your contrast levels first. So I'm going to keep doing that. I'm going to bring the contrast levels down back a bit. And this is looking pretty good. We have a close result to what we want in terms of our low contrast, muted vintage feel, but we're not quite there yet. So another way to really fine tweak the look is with a color curve. Color curves are a bit more finicky and a bit more aggressive in terms of how you can tweak your image, but that's a great thing, especially for a second stage process where you're trying to finalize your contrast levels. So I'm gonna go ahead and first finesse the blacks. The blacks are a great way to root your image and start a baseline for what you want it to look like. So I'm gonna lift, 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 and then I'm gonna do the same thing with the shadows. Nice, that's looking great. And here I'm really just sort of playing around. Remember what I said earlier about having fun with pushing and pulling. You wanna understand how these tools are affecting your image so that you can develop a knowledge to be able to quickly work later. So I'm sort of pushing and pulling, trying to find a sweet spot. Don't really overthink it too much. Again, this is your image and it's always up to you. I'm sort of feeling a warmer vibe here. We have a very naturally cool image. So I'm gonna take the temperature slider and just crank it to a warmer place. I think I like it at about 40. And now that I've done that, the image feels a little bit too green. And that's okay. So I'm gonna take the tint slider and dial in a little bit more magenta. And now that I've done that, I sort of realized that maybe I want to dial in a little bit more warmth on the temperature slider. And going back and forth and like that is completely okay. That's kind of what color is making one adjustment, realizing that you need to offset with another, and kind of going back and forth that way. That's how you're going to develop your own unique look. So I'm going to continue to go back and forth between this temperature and tint slider to create a happy balance that I like. Now, I really like this, but it's still not quite there. It still feels like what I shot out of camera yesterday. And maybe that's fine. Maybe we don't really want to stray from the original negative of our image, but today we want to create an entirely different feel and world and look. And a great way to do that is the Hue Sliders. I'm going to enter the sliders and I'm going to select this little blue icon. And same thing that we did before with the primary sliders. I'm just going to start by dragging them back and forth to find a sweet spot. You may not notice it at first, but that's okay. The point is finding the right balance between what your image can offer and what grain can provide. So I'm going to keep going. Blue didn't really do that much for me, so maybe it's green. This is where I really start to notice an effect. So again, think of this as a playground. You want to mess around with all of these different tools to really find what's going to suit you best for this look. So now that we've done the hue adjustments, let's reflect on everything that we've touched within the grain app so far. We've touched the sliders, we've touched the curves, we touched the hue, a little bit of the color wheels, and now I just want to reflect on what needs a little bit of tweaking. Go in, and again, it's always up to you. I'm going to tweak the luminance curve a little bit. Nice. That really brings out the blue hues of the boat a little bit more, makes it feel a little bit more like a vintage look. Maybe warm up the image a bit more. That makes the sand pop. Nice, nice. And then I'm just going to bring down the saturation a little bit on the skin tones. Nice. I'm really happy with this. So let's look at a before and after. Oh, wow. that's bonkers. That's bonkers. So it's this.
Okay.
Oh,
wait.
That's
That's
super
after?
different.
Oh my
Yeah, that's
gosh,
after.
yeah. Wait, whoa, that's actually pretty
That's dope.
insane. That's
Okay.
awesome.
Who are those models?
Who are those models?
that?
Nice.
Well,
work.
sick. Awesome. That's super cool. It's really cool to be able to see this before and after within grain. But technically the process is not done. Grain still has so much more to offer for you. There are some really cool effects. I'm just going to click into them now that you can use to add your image. We're not really going to go into that with this look, but just going through them, there's so many different options between light distortion, blurring and sharpening, and even some really interesting stylized distortion effects that can add another level to the grade that you've created. I encourage you to look at these and play around, find something that suits you and your image best. So now that we're done here, let's go ahead and save our look. So we're gonna go to the top right and click save. Let's give our look a name. I am gonna choose Vintage Sand Dunes. Nice. And I'm just going to click done. And the nice part about this is now it's in my own personal library of my own looks. I can save this for later for another project, for a friend, sharing it with their grain app on their shoot. And that's kind of the fun part about an app like Grain like this, is it can be collaborative and you can share looks with other people so that you can all explore and learn together. And another amazing thing, this is probably my favorite part of Grain, is that you can export your look as a LUT, as well as all the other assets that you've created, all of the overlays and effects. That's a real game changer if you want to bring your look into a desktop workspace.
All right, y'all. Okay, so clearly there are a ton of options that you can do in Grain.
There's a lot.
Morgana could spend hours just tweaking stuff and making things look amazing and very unique. I'm like blown away by the hue curves and all the subtle. It's like subtle but also extreme if you want it to be.
It's fun. It's fully unique.
So-
I like how approachable it is.
Yeah, I mean, you're killing it. So I hope you have learned a bunch. Joshua, what's up, dude? He's just chilling. So what we're gonna do now is actually just show you our spec music video with kind of the 3 distinct looks. We're not gonna show you building out every one of them, but props to Morgana for being here, teaching you guys something, using our new Grain app. You can use it on your phone too, but the iPad's more legit, I'd say.
It's an experience, that's for sure.
So enjoy this video of Joshua and Natalie being absolute fashionistas, and smash like, leave some love for Morgana in the comments, and enjoy.
Bye.
First thing in the morning, before your feet touch the floor, you count back all your blessings to the day you were born. And the sunlight is pouring through the side of my eye. Oh, this all feels wonderful.